Hello everyone. Welcome back to Alpha Art Gallery's Meet the Artist series. My name is Kaylin Kirkado and I'm joined by Ellie. And I am here with Lynda Charles and Matthew. Lynda Charles is an exhibiting artist for the New Brunswick Art Salon Oil Sculpture and Mixed Media Exhibition and is joined by her partner Matthew. So, how are you guys doing today?
You're doing great.
We're very
Fine.
excited.
Great to hear. I'm glad to see you guys again, and we're so lucky to have you guys. So, since you guys will be exhibiting works for the 2025 The Mundane in Motion exhibition at the Alpha Art Gallery, let's get started with some questions to get to know you and your artwork. So, number one, what has inspired you or led to your journey creating art? Was it always accepted or was it always encouraged around you? Feel free to add otherwise.
I actually started my art journey 2018, and back then I was kind of, should I say, depressed? I was alone. I was just bored. I was just looking out for an outlet, something I can just do, like to keep myself busy. I don't want to stay idle and either then. So that's at that point I met with some friends. They were like into art. But then I wasn't really much interested. But then I started meeting up with those friends and I see like what they do and I find it interesting. I found what they do interesting though. I started looking out into it. We'll go to some friends' studio to visit, to check out some works. Then I started getting some inspiration. I tried creating some works. Then I'll post online, people will react. They were like, oh, this looks amazing. From then I feel like, okay, with if for people to react like this way, that means I can do better. That means people are seeing me. So from there, I started creating, posting on social media. So with their comments, the replies I get, most of those are the inspiration behind most of my work. Like I feel more inspired when I get those reactions, then I create. That's just it.
Yeah, so she's self-taught. Obviously, self-taught doesn't usually mean you exist in a vacuum,
Yeah.
but she didn't have any formal education, mostly learning from friends, learning online and trying
Yeah.
to see how she can tell her story. And it wasn't like you asked, it wasn't terribly accepted in the
Yeah, it
beginning.
wasn't because my background, like my parents, they were not really into art. They are not like art is not a big deal to them. Like they don't see it as something, They expect their daughter to be a doctor, a lawyer, or something. They don't see it as a thing, you get. So I started looking online, checking some tutorials, like picking up some mediums and things to do. That's how I started creating.
So eventually they are coming around because she has gotten so
Yeah.
much better, and yeah, she's been able to show people that there's a
Mm,
lot to be said, and obviously she has a lot to say, and there
yeah,
are other amazing female artists in Nigeria doing great things too. So
exactly.
the narrative has definitely come around since then.
That was a great response. And yes, it's almost like you had to prove yourself and gain that respect, but you did, and it shows, right?
Exactly. Now they have no choice than to accept it.
Yeah, exactly, because that's your passion. So you found your passion.
Exactly.
I love to hear that. So let's go to the second question. There's an emphasis on your Nigerian heritage as it relates to your sense of self and how you interact and view the world around you. How do you think your Nigerian heritage and your life experiences as a woman has combined, or maybe hasn't combined, and has shown through your work and your process?
That's an interesting question. If you look at my works, like if you check very well, I tell mostly women's stories, like Black women's stories. Like I feel my heritage has actually shaped my art because if I have to look back to my mom's generation, back in those days where they have to make choices for them, they have to choose who they get married to. As a woman, they choose who you get married to, who you spend your life with. Like, I feel like then they don't really give women the chance to make choices for themselves, and which is why I developed the interest in telling women stories. Like, I wanted to be heard and seen. You get like, it's really, really so absurd. Like, you can't really like express
It's
yourself
absurd
fully.
to think that
I
any of
mean,
those choices will be made
they'll be
for
made
you
for you.
as early as just a few decades ago. And even today in some
It's still happening
families,
there.
in some cultures, women still aren't allowed to stand on their own
You even
feet.
end up getting married to who you don't even love, like
Yeah.
you're not emotionally attached to. You're just forced to get married to this person. Like as a woman, you don't even have rights to say no or this. You just live to their own expectation.
Yeah, and that's just
So
one example.
one example,
I guess as we go down the questions, she might share some more insights on some of the other choices that have been taken away from
yeah,
women, and
women.
then some of the things that she's trying to shed light on. But that's a huge, I will also say, and this is probably something she forgot to mention, but it's one of the reasons why she chooses like models that she
Yes, that's why I use models I know physically. Like I use models I know so that the story will be more authentic.
Yeah.
Like I don't just pick pictures online to just create. I choose people that I know, like friends, family, and create them like to a masterpiece.
Yeah, that's a great answer. It's like you're combining, it's not like you're making stories, but you're telling stories. They're not like new stories. It's like you're giving a voice and a place to these
Yeah.
stories that are still happening. So it definitely does show up in your work and in your process, as we're gonna see some works of art. Which leads into the next question. We're going to start talking about the artwork specifically for this exhibition. So, question 3 is, as you created and reflected on a source, did specific visual elements represent specific ideas or themes? I know we talked about the difference in certain colors used for different people or different facial expressions, and would you want to elaborate on that?
While creating a source, I was trying to tell the relationship between a mother and a daughter, the relationship they share. Like if you check the daughter's features, you can see her colors are very vibrant, unlike the mother. I made it that way so that, like, okay, it shows that her mom is aging, and that's why I made her to be in black and white. Like most her dress is in black and white, the flowers is in black and white. Like she's aging, and like
she has lived her
she
life.
have lived her life for her child. She have like sacrificed a lot for her child. That's why her child is flourishing, and and why she's looking faded out, like
Yeah, so it's kind of like the mother is,
like
giving a lot to the daughter, and so she has lived her life, and now
for
she
to
is,
live and flourish.
living in service of her daughter almost. And so you see all the flowers and the
Yeah,
vibrant
that's why
colors.
her colors are more vibrant than the mother.
Yeah, and
Yes, I remember the first time we talked about it, I was really excited to know that because I noticed it, but I wasn't sure if it was like on purpose or not. So I think that's really important to know about you as an artist that all these little changes and emphasis on certain things is for a reason, right? And not just because, just not just because you like it, right? So let's go to the next question and then I'll go back to the works of art. So when reflecting on a home, I see that there's incredible detail within the hair, the clothing, and the skin color of the subjects. For this piece, was there a need to emphasize certain details and visual elements, such as certain colors, textures, and materials used? And do you mind sharing what it was like to work with your family for this piece? Because I do remember that we talked about that.
When we talk about a home is like a family, and the people I used in the work, the muses there, they are my siblings. So it's like one of my biggest piece. In fact, the biggest, not one of my, it's the biggest work yet, like for now. So I try to put more efforts, like to bring out the details. I use same medium, acrylic and charcoal on canvas. So, and the colors, they all represent different emotions, different personality. I mean, different personality. Like it's just like telling the story. Like we all have different personality, but we still stand in same ground. We still like try to like
we make a home for each other.
make a home for each other and stand by each other, you get, and support each other. So that's what I'm trying to portray there, like different personality, but we still stand together.
Yeah, and also you mentioned about the detail. So the work is very large,
It's
like
very
you said.
big, so I have
So
to
it took
put
her a
more
long
effort
time,
in
and
it.
she
Yeah,
did it obviously because of the size, but
the size.
also because of what it means, because we all need support systems. We all need people that we can lean on. Whether or not we are related by blood, it's something that that camaraderie, we need it as human beings. So this is almost a visual representation of that, especially for women. As she tells me, you need sisters, people that you can lean on, your circle,
Support.
basically. Yeah. So even though they are different individuals, their own personalities, so that's represented in the different skin tones, they still come together to support each other and make a home for one another.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight that because I remember I was so excited when I found out that this was like, people you knew, and like you said in the first question, like it does add depth and meaning to your work, even if they were stories like that maybe weren't related to you would be important, but the fact that these are your actual siblings and like you're including them in this huge work of art, it does make like a statement to, what's important to you and what should be important to humanity, right? So yeah, that was a great response. Thank you guys. Let's keep going. Um, so for the next work of art, we're going to talking about a woman's place. So there's a sense of pride and a sense of confidence. And I know this work of art does cross lines in the past and present and standards of what is expected from young girls, especially young Nigerian girls, as it relates to your personality and your heritage. So we talked about times where Nigerian women are expected to stay in the house and not leave. And I remember that this came up with this work of art. So I just wanted to let you talk about this work of art as much as you'd like.
As a Nigerian child, a girl child, like there are a lot of expectations, like, and there's a lot of limitation as well. Like, I talked about a period of time whereby it's a festival.
Yeah.
It's called Oro Festival. That's in my hometown. Like, they do it, I think, every year, but once in a month or twice in a month or something. Like, whereby the women will stay indoors while the men are allowed to move freely outside, like move freely. So like it's somehow to me like why
Yeah, it goes back to some traditional roots.
like
Neither of us fully understand or remember, but for as long as anybody can remember, they've always had it where it's a culture almost where only men are allowed to move around and women must stay indoors for reasons, and so it's presented as a cultural heritage kind of phenomenon, but at the end of the day, it's it's limiting to women, right?
Yeah.
Like what is it that you have to do where you are going to restrict half of the population just because they are women? It makes no sense. So that's one of the biggest anchors for this piece that she created. And then do you want to talk about the two girls and
I feel like the one in the front, she's free. She's tired of all the old like all the rules. Like she just wants to live freely. She wants to live her life because most times they'll tell you as a girl you shouldn't dress this way. It's indecent. Like you shouldn't like you attract men and you attract bad men. Like you shouldn't wear this. You shouldn't do this. Like even it also even relates to works. There's some works that you want to do as a lady, they'll say no, this is for men. That no, they can't give this
some
to
career
some career paths.
Yeah.
They'll say no, this is like even my like this art I'm doing. Like I think there was a time they were like, no, my parents were like, I shouldn't do art because it's mostly for men. Because it's hard to see a female artist and all that. Like back in the days for them, I don't think.
Yeah, so the girl on the left is sort of representing
she's reserved and
previous way of thinking.
exactly.
So she's reserved, she's just having a calm demeanor. Whereas the girl on the right represents what Lynda thinks a woman should
a woman should be free and just live their life and just make choices for themselves. So that's the representation here.
Yeah, that's a woman's place, basically. Free to make her own decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Even I remember we talked about it's crazy that, it's one place in the world, Nigeria, where they're saying like, you're a woman, like shouldn't be doing this, but it's almost in so many different places around the world, right? Like even just in our fields of like art and art history, like it's a very male dominated field for since centuries, like, so it's crazy that you are able to not only be a part of that physically as an artist, but also your work shares that story and it has those themes to, you know, make people understand, or even relate. So you never know. Um,
We are hoping it makes them understand, but I think for now it's really just putting it out there and making
mhm,
it visible. Hopefully, we'll get to a point where the message is strong enough, both from her and from other artists, where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is how it should be, and maybe we'll start to shape the societal discourse. And but that's the dream anyway.
100%, yes, and it's true. Just making it and getting it out there, right, is the hardest part, really. So for the next question, we're gonna talk about the piece Daughter, which brings up a joyful or freeing energy emphasized with the subject's motion. I was wondering if you could share some expectations or standards of what is expected from young Nigerian girls. I know we just previously talked about this, but if you want to talk a little bit more about the work and how that embodies this idea of expectations.
So
Um,
let me start. So with daughter, the idea that Linda was trying to capture is the dual relationship of parental, love and expectations. Because on the one hand, because you
and
see
for the
the
balance.
yeah, the muse, she's sort of hugging herself and swaying kind of to represent that she feels loved and she feels, safe and she feels like she's part of a family. But then on the other hand, she's, being tipped almost to falling because the weight of the
Yeah.
expectations is, sitting on her. And when you asked about what's expected of Nigerian girls, it's not just from the family. It's more of a social construct. It's what is expected of
Society.
you, yeah, when you exist in a society. And do you want to maybe talk about some of those expectations? Yeah, so it's very pervasive.
Yeah, exactly. They expect as a Nigerian girl child, you should get married before 30. If you're 30, you're not married, you are useless, All those expectations are just not cool. Like they expect you to, okay,
Be
what else?
submissive.
Be submissive, like,
Yeah,
okay, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't earn too much as a man,
as a woman,
as a woman, sorry, as a woman, you shouldn't earn too much. You shouldn't earn more
than your
than a
husband.
man.
The man is the breadwinner. Your job
Yes.
is to take care of the
So,
home, and
mhm.
that's that. It's not up
So
for debate. So it's like in relationships or marriages where they decided to make their own decisions. Maybe the woman is the breadwinner, or she
yeah,
has it's seen as an aberration in society. So it's and many of the expectations are really unspoken. It's just something
exactly.
that is floating around and something that is sort of understood on the subconscious level. It's not nobody gives every girl a list and says do this, do not do that. It's just something
No.
that is instilled upon you as you grow. So it takes a lot to sort of break out of that. And it also feels like rebellion breaking out of that because it's almost like you are biting the hand that has fed you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they've given
So
you all of this love and support, but then
they are now turning back.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
turning
So
back.
all of that conflict is the love, but also the weight of it is sort of
It's
represented
draining. It's draining her
in
and all
that
that.
pose. So it's like she's loved and she's at home, but she's also overwhelmed.
100%. I remember we even talked about when we first met prior about it's conflicting because, most of the time your families love you and they're trying to like play into that social construct of, oh, like, you're my daughter, you shouldn't be doing this. Or even with the artist ordeal, it's like, oh, like, you should do something else. Like maybe this is something for now and not forever, right? So it's this conflict of like I know my family loves me, but I also have to be true to myself, right? So I think that this is so relatable to so many people, even
Uh,
beyond art, right? Like just so many different things, especially for women. So yeah, thank you so much for explaining that. We can go into the next question. So I know we mentioned this before. As an artist, is there a specific reason why we like doing the simpler backgrounds? Is it just for stylistic choice or is it more of a intentional choice, right? I'll let you elaborate.
Sometimes the main reason why I choose a plain background is because I don't want it to be distracting to the main subject. Like I want the focus to be more on the subject. And sometimes the background also adds to the story. It's also part of the story. You get?
Yeah,
So
so
that's just
yeah, like with the woman's place, you
yeah,
see there's the blue blending with the yellow to
yeah,
kind of
okay.
symbolize the transition
The
from
calmness and the
yeah, calmness, but also being subdued, then going to more of a
yeah.
free energy, and
What
then
about the other pics? What that has the
yeah,
footsteps?
then okay, so with the home too, the background is white, very plain because it's a large work, and so she put so much effort into depicting the subject. So she wants that to be the focus. The
The
background is
human.
just plain, and then yeah, there's
Human,
a
there's
piece human
human.
that is
That
not
one
here.
has different emotions.
Yeah, it has a
And
very multicolored background, almost rainbow-like, and that's
each color
basically
represents different emotions.
yeah, that's the
Like,
central subject of the piece, which is like overwhelm and all of the things that you have to deal with, and so that's represented in the very multicolored background.
Thank you guys so much for answering me that. I just wanted to bring it up because I noticed that, for example, for a woman's place, you got the blending of the colors, which you mentioned, like goes into past and present. And I thought that was important for the audience to know about you, that there is intention behind everything you do, not even just with the subjects, right? Like we see in the one on the upper right, and even with your siblings and daughter, there's all these details that go into the subjects, but the background too. So it's something important to your character as an artist, and I wanted to bring that up. But yeah, that was a great answer to that question. We can move on to the next question. Is there anything new you would like to explore or try, whether it's a new medium, new themes to explore, or specific collaborations like dream collaborations or goals?
yeah, for now, I'm trying a new medium. I'm trying oil on canvas. It has been interesting so far. Like, there has been errors and, mistakes, but then I think I'm beginning to like it more than acrylic. So I'm trying a new medium. That's just the latest for now.
Yeah, and
Just
having
trying
me
to.
having a sort of first row seat into the process, it's been a very interesting journey. As you guys are in the art world, so you know that oil-based works are always very valued and held in high
Yeah,
esteem. And so obviously that's a big part of why she's trying to hand at it because the message is important, right? And she wants as many people to be able to hear it. And if the medium is what's going to help people pay attention, then obviously she's going to do that. And also, she really values being versatile and
yeah.
being able to do different
Because
things
when I started with just graphite on
on paper.
paper. For now, I've
So now
actually
she's
like
using acrylic, she's using
really
charcoal, she's
on,
doing canvas,
yeah,
so she's
just want
just
to
trying to
explore.
yeah, and expand her horizons as a creative medium basically. She doesn't want to be limited to one thing or the other. So that's been very exciting to see.
That is really exciting. I know we talked about the difference between oil and acrylic. Acrylic is like dry in 3 seconds.
Right so fast. It doesn't allow you to like make some details before you know it's all dried up. But with
Right.
oil, you can actually, even if you make mistake, you can correct it. Like it's still wet, and I mean, oil is very, very interesting.
She's having fun.
I
I'm just having fun with it.
I can't wait to see what you come up with because I know that if you're able to do this blending with acrylic, I can't imagine with oil. So it's going to be really exciting to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. I think the work looks really good and I can't wait for you guys to see it as well.
No, yeah, that's amazing. That's why I wanted to highlight that. But we can move on to our final question, which is I can't believe we're already almost done. So, for all these four works for this exhibition, what do you want or hope that the viewers understand or take away from them? If there's any overarching themes of womanhood, expectations, growth, family, is there one thing specifically you hope that the audience can take away from these works of art?
I think one of the most important thing I want them to take home with them is to have the ability to make choices for themselves, to like to stand on ground on what they believe is best for them, to make the right choices for them, and
Yeah,
like
basically to be able
to
independence.
yeah.
The world has come a long way, and
Mhm.
women have a lot more opportunities than decades and centuries ago. So
Exactly.
it's absurd for you to still be limited by expectations that don't necessarily match up with what is best for you.
Yeah.
So I think that Linda's
They
big
should
message
just
is you should be able to live your own life and
they should live their life
make your
and
own
be
choices.
confident about it.
Yeah. Be confident in the decisions
Yes,
that you
they're
make.
making.
Obviously there's nuances to it. There's the societal expectations from your parents, and all of the all of the things that have been done to get you where you are. Because nobody exists in a vacuum, and so obviously there is the aspect of putting all of that into consideration.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it really is your life,
It's your
and
life. You have
yeah.
to live it the way you like. So you just have to make choices for yourself.
I think that's a great response. I feel like your works all overall do focus on women, especially Black women, and the way that you're explaining it now, it even goes beyond that. It's about, like you said, living your life in the way you want to and the way you need to, right? Not going into any expectations or things that are expected of you and just doing that just because, but really being true to yourself. And I think that you, just by talking, that's even another way that you're being true to yourself and explaining to me all the things that you're doing in each one of these works. And it's amazing to see. So, I want to thank you greatly to conduct and finally record this interview with you. The Alpha Art Gallery is extremely grateful and thankful for your time, both of you. And for the viewers, please come see Lynda Charles' work in the 2025 Mundane Emotion exhibition at the Alpha Art Gallery. The Mundane Emotion is in person and it will exhibit and the 5th of September from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30. And we will also host a virtual reception on Friday, September 12th at 6:30. So thank you guys for watching and we'll see you soon.